Hello everyone, it's Sean. I have another update here for you. I'm going to talk a little bit about the O-scale equipment I've purchased so far and something that I've learned while in the O-scale. Number one, these boxes get big. They take up a lot of space. One thing you need to do before you start collecting is think about where you're going to store it. I didn't really do that. Don't really have any set space yet. I've got about 13 boxes that I need to find a home for it. Right now most of them are stacked up in my office upstairs next to a table, and it looks like a big stack of blue because they're all Atlas boxes. So I'm going to work on finding some space probably under this part of the layout somewhere and get down to business putting them away. It looks like I'll be buying a lot more equipment coming up here in this next year, and I might even get into G-scale. So by kicking on forward, I'm going to show you my latest purchases, which include this Burlington Northern 52-foot 6-inch gondola from Atlas, this CB&Q or Burlington 40-foot boxcar, and this Norfolk Western hopper. Move this out of the way here. Got it all at the Choo Choo store up in Three Lakes. It's a beautiful little hobby shop right in downtown on the main street. It's just down from Subway, if anyone's familiar with the area. Just a little bit north of Subway, maybe about a block. But it's a really nice little store. They have an O-gauge, HO, and ON30 layout. He's got a nice selection of O-gauge. He's got, all the big hobbies. He's got trains, he's got kits, and he's got a good variety of stuff. Mostly O-gauge as far as trains go. But one other thing I want to talk about in O-scale while I'm here is that the difference between the brands. Alright, so we'll take a line or a Atlas card here, and you can see standard 3-rail truck. You got the uncoupling tool here. You can put it in and you can uncouple using this. And it has a nice little air hose right in here. And you can see that, and it's a nice little touch. I mean, it's flexible, it's not going to break real easy, not like HO, you touch it wrong and it snaps off. That I love about Atlas, because you can use a little pick like I had shown you before over here. Let's see if I can get this without knocking anything down. Use one of these, push it down, you uncouple it. Push it down over here, slide the car together, bam, it's coupled. Now here, we have a Lionel car. And this is my only Lionel. And I don't care for it as much. For one, it doesn't have the air hoses. The coupler is plastic, whereas actually many of the couplers on the Atlas O-scale equipment I have are metal. This one, you have to slide this down to uncouple it, which isn't a huge pain. Although I like being able to take the pin underneath the car, just like this, from the side to uncouple it. I think it's really nice, really convenient, and that's one of the reasons why I prefer Atlas. I found out one of the cars I have, I think it's a Big O is the name under Atlas that it goes under, and it's a 5427 hopper, just like my other 4 Milwaukee Road hoppers, and it excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. And it's got some extra detail on it that doesn't like to work on even the 54-inch radius. And that's another thing, is I got all of this track here, except for the 40-inch straights. I bought those up at Three Lakes, and I got a 10% discount. That's for anyone in the hobby. They take your word that you're in a hobby, I should say, in a club or anything, but I think they pretty much give it to just anybody. But I bought this on eBay. I bought a full loop and then 6 10-inch straights, a 54-inch used Atlas track. Once I cleaned it up, it's just as good as new. I mean, you can't tell that it's worn down any, and for I think $60 shipped, that is a pretty good deal. So I'm really happy with that. And I bought the last of the 40-inch straights that I can find, other than online. I got a discount, so I was really happy with that. But one other thing, and this is the only other car I have that is not an Atlas, and this is an MTH. And something that I don't know, it's not a gripe, but it's just something I've noticed, is it doesn't have the working roller bearing, or the rolling journals. Like, I think all of my other Atlas equipment that has the showing journal, except for the Caboose, because it has powered trucks, or excuse me, powered pickup trucks, so the journals don't move. But I thought for MTH it would be a little bit, I don't know, I guess nicer. The coupler looks kind of generic, maybe even cheap, and the springs aren't painted. I only paid $36 for this car. I wasn't expecting the world. I figured it's an inexpensive way to get into it. But unpainted springs, kind of generic trucks, and I think I will be switching it over to Atlas if I can do that. I haven't looked into it yet, but I think I'll be switching this over to Atlas. But the other equipment I have here that I really like are my hoppers. I really like these. I've got 2 of these in HO that are Sioux Line by Intermountain. They're beautiful, they look great. Another thing I love about Atlas is the see-through steps up here. It's a really nice touch. And I'm very impressed for the amount of money I've spent. I think I paid $42 for these, $38 for these hoppers, $38 for this. This was $47 or $45. I mean, compared to Exactrial and Intermountain and HO, these really aren't any more expensive. If you want to get into a different scale, like I am, just to change things up, I found a new appreciation for my HO after working with O-Gauge, and likewise after working with HO. O-Scale is really interesting to me, and I found the same for G-Scale, sadly, so I'm going to spend a lot more money now. But it's something different. I mean, you don't need to spend a ton of money like I did here. I know this isn't a ton, but you don't need to get into it, bam, like that. You know, buy a car, use it for a display piece. And then just have it on your desk, you get a couple more pieces, buy a locomotive. And it's a really inexpensive way to get in the hobby. Just start with a couple of things. So, that's that. One thing I do like, I paid $55 for this limited edition Burlington Northern Executive Scheme Caboose. You got people inside, you have an illuminated interior, you have someone up top in here. It's got some weight to it. But I'm really happy because everything seems to be very free rolling. Something I didn't necessarily expect out of O-Scale. For some reason I thought it was going to be a little bit less free rolling, a little bit more difficult to pull, but it seems to work pretty well. And I'm going to use an area over on the other side, I'll show you in just a second, for the O-Scale layout's going to go. Alright. Well, temporarily, this is where my O-Scale layout's going to end up. We have this section here, it's going to go in on the side here, and this is just going to be a small loop of track, and maybe a passing sign. Later on I may put on a second level with just, you know, another loop attached to the other one, and that'd probably be as far as it gets. This is actually going to be part of my dad's layout, but because he hasn't gotten this far, he's going to let me use it temporarily, which is really nice. So I'm thankful for that, and it's going to be interesting. We have to get the tabletops on here, some other stuff cleaned up. There's going to be more storage underneath here, and hopefully we can go through and get some of his collection sold. It sounds like he's willing to start letting go of some, since he can only take 1 carload of trains down south. And I haven't shown you guys my dad's collection, but there is a lot. So now I'm going to go over to the other side of the layout, back close to where we were. I'm going to show you a little bit about the Zephyr system. Alright, here we are with the Zephyr. I've also got my buddy throttle here and a LocoNet cable. Something interesting about the LocoNet system is it is a 6-prong system. So as far as I know, I went to Walmart, or Menards, and you cannot just buy this cable off the shelf there. You have to order it through your hobby dealer. If you have a larger supply store, you might be able to find something like this. I'm not sure about the quality of the cable, if it has to be up to certain standards. But I'm going to show you a little bit about expanding your Zephyr system, simplified. So on the back of your system here, on the Zephyr, DS51 or DCS51, you've got your standard pin port here for your regular track power, your ground, your programming, and your 2 jump boxes, which you can use 2 DC power packs as little jump throttles. So you plug one into here, plug your positive into here, and your ground into here, and it can act as a throttle for a single address that you have to program through this into one of the jumps. And I haven't done that. I did by accident once. I was goofing around, and it was a little tricky to figure everything out and then get it undone. But anyways, continuing on, you have the 3.5 amp power supply here in LocoNet A and B. So what you can do is, with your LocoNet, here's a buddy throttle tether, which has a nice, expanding cord here, and you can just plug that right into here. So you don't have to have the whole LocoNet system with the UP5 panel and the extra cord here. But if you want to get some extra distance, you may want to check into getting the LocoNet cord and the UP5 panel to plug in more throttles. So if I wanted to, I could operate just like this. You can use any of the digitrx throttles that have this cord on here, but you'll want to make sure that you have one of the extension cords like this, because some of them just have a short cord and they're designed for radio or infrared operations. And that's another thing, is if you do expand your system, be sure that you're going to know what you're getting into, if you want the standard system like I have, or if you want the radio frequency or the infrared.